Answering MCAT questions in under 60 seconds. Which of the following correctly describes what happens when DNA polymerase adds a deoxyribonucleotide triphosphate to a growing DNA strand? Okay, and the answer choices all look like they're saying, the hydroxyl group or a phosphate group at one end attacks the hydroxyl or phosphate at the other end, right? So what happens when DNA polymerase is extending the chain, right, of nucleotides? Well, we know that it synthesizes 5' to 3', okay? And what does that mean? Well, that means that the DNA strand that results is going to have a free phosphate group on its 5' end, right? And then it's going to have a free 3' hydroxyl group on the sugar, okay? And so for that to happen, the hydroxyl group on the 3' end of the 5' side nucleotide, right? Because each nucleotide also has a 5' end and a 3' end. Like this would be the 5' end of this nucleotide, and the hydroxyl group would be the 3' end of that nucleotide. That 3' hydroxyl is going to attack the 5' phosphate group of the next nucleotide, which itself is going to have a 3' hydroxyl group. Okay. And so as a result, there ends up being a free 5' end one side and a 3' end on the other side, which has a hydroxyl group, right? So the answer here is going to be that the hydroxyl group on the 3' end is going to attack the 5-phosphate group of the next nucleotide in line, right? So the answer amongst these is going to be C. The hydroxyl group at the 3' end of the growing strand attacks the 5' phosphate.